Hey guys. Okay, I'm gonna wait for Steph to jump on. We are speaking with Steph Laffey again today, my super awesome, amazing friend who, there she is, um, who's amazing at helping people really tap into who they are and like speak, especially from an introverted type of personality where you're kind of uncomfortable, like uncomfortable um, being who you are and like figuring out who that is. So, um, so I wanted to have her on here to have this conversation because it's so important, especially right now. Hi, Steph.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry for the communication issues.
All good. All good. We're here now. So,
We are here.
um, I was just saying how excited I am to have you here because you are such an amazing person to help people really figure out who they are and like how to speak, how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable,
hmm
and especially coming from a person who is more reserved, more introverted, people pleasing, that type of, don't really want to rock the boat, but really finding yourself in doing that and in finding
hmm
a way that feels good to you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're just gonna like roll with this, right? So
Oh yeah.
what are, I guess, what comes up for you? Like when we were talking about speaking about this topic, what was it that really like resonated with you where you're like, we need to talk about this?
So I think that I saw one of your stories. You were just going off about the system. I mean, like, when do you not just go off? Let's be real. But you were like going off about the system and how, you know, for the longest time, like you felt like a little bit of a black sheep and you couldn't say XYZ, but you finally found the courage to say it. Um, we were talking a lot about how scary it is to just, say what you feel in these scary times. A lot of us are feeling censored and like pushed down and pushed back by the powers that be. But you have just shown up so fearlessly and so unafraid to share your truth. And it's amazing to witness, amazing to watch. And I was like, this is like my favorite topic. Like, it's so empowering to realize that like when you speak how you truly feel and when you truly speak your heart, um like people agree, people are going to vibe with you, um but until you find the courage and like until you find it within you to actually say what you think, you have no idea of who else agrees with you. If you're sitting and staying silent, then you're just like in your own little hermit cave world, not knowing that there are other people out there that agree with you. And so I just want to come on here and jam out with you and talk about it because it's so important. Um, as somebody who used to stay silent and stay quiet, like I finally realized like when I speak, there are people that are going to agree and that are going to feel so seen. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I I love that. And what came up for me when you were saying that is when we keep ourselves within, we tell ourselves these stories of
hmm
like fear. We're going to be censored, people are going to cancel us, we're going to lose all of our friends, and all of like we keep ourselves small out of fear of the unknown as though it's already happened. But it
hmm
hasn't happened.
Right.
And when you move beyond that, because at some point, I mean, if you look back in your life, there's going to be some points where you just couldn't take it anymore and like it just spewed out of you. And yeah, maybe some bad things happened, but probably mostly it was good. Like you felt a bit better. There were people that went, "Oh, actually I feel the same way," or "Hey, let's have a conversation about that," or "Why do you feel that way?" And it just
Right.
there's much better than with the stories like you tell yourself. So
Right.
we hide ourselves out of fear, but it's like, fear of what? Is that
Right.
actually true?
Right. And I mean, I would encourage anybody watching to ask yourself, like, what is it that I want to say? And what am I scared of? Like, what is the worst case scenario that could happen if you say that thing?
And it's
And then ask yourself, is that true? Exactly. Is that actually true? Will that actually happen? And I bet you it won't. And then the other thing that like I like to challenge my clients and like my people to do is ask yourself, if this worst case scenario somehow panned out, if it did actually happen, could I live with that? Or would it be worse to just to to stay silent? And that's kind of how I coach myself to actually just say the thing because 9 times out of 10, the worst case scenario is not as bad as staying quiet, at least for me.
yeah, because the longer I found this over decades of staying quiet, um, it eats you alive. Like it
Yeah,
literally eats you alive, and internally you are living in more fear
right.
because you're uncomfortable and you're living in the what if. And so your nervous system is like always heightened in a way. And then you're creating these scenarios that haven't happened, and you're in that state of fear a lot more than curiosity.
Mhm.
And when you move out of that and go, well, is this actually true? Not necessarily. And let's be honest, it's a muscle you stretch. So you start with something. Are
Mhm.
people going to remember it? Probably not. Probably not. You may have a couple people that like see something and like, oh yeah, that's really cool, or oh, I don't agree with that, or whatever, and like scroll on by. Like the odds of you getting pushback for one thing are very small,
Right.
but over time, you're gonna draw to you the people that resonate with you, and
Mhm.
it's gonna make you feel better, and just everything gets to be better when you start living your truth unapologetically.
Right, exactly. Right, and like to be honest, most of the things that you say, like unless you're like putting like crazy shit out there, which I mean most people watching, like if you're watching this and you're trying to find the courage to be unapologetic, I'm willing to bet you're not saying like crazy, like insane shit that like is like that's just the honest to God truth. The worst that's gonna happen is maybe people unfollow you.
Yeah,
And honestly, like, do you really care? Like, those are not your people. If they don't want to be here, like, bye, see ya. That's, I mean, honestly, do you really care that much if people unfollow you?
exactly. And I celebrate anybody that unfollows me or like unsubscribes from my email list or whatever. It's like, hey, fine, you don't want on this fun train, like learning all these things. By all means, you're welcome back whenever time and whatever you want, but this is what I stand for. And the thing I love to encourage people to do is when you share something,
Mm-hmm.
say something about why it's resonating with you. Like
Right,
make don't just necessarily share something. I mean, if that's your comfort level, fine, but at some point, share what resonated with you or what you didn't like about it. And just
right.
share your viewpoint, because that brings it back to being human.
Yeah,
Like, so other people can then begin to learn a little bit more about you and who you are and
right,
have that curiosity, versus just like you share an article and they go and read it and they may pull something out of it that you didn't, or it wasn't as important to
right,
you, and they're thinking like then they just don't get, again, a true view of who you are.
right,
So
right,
I like to encourage people, like, share the what resonated with you, like what was
right,
it that either made you upset or you really liked, or questions that you have about it or whatever, because that
right.
helps you speak personally about
Mm,
you,
right.
um, and takes that fear away. Like, because
Right.
this is you. Like, this is you.
Right. Exactly. And I love that you said that because it really does, not only does it tie it back to you and it sort of create some compassion almost, like this is why I feel the way that I do, but it also opens the floor for dialogue, you
Mhm.
know? Like if I were to just come in like guns blazing and be like, the sky is green, you'd be like, okay.
Sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, sometimes these days, who knows? Um, but but like if I were to come in and say like, the sky is green and I this is how I experience this, probably the worst example. I should just shut
Well, you
up.
could be like,
Um,
the sky is green to me because I'm partially colorblind. Like,
yeah,
you know,
there we
like
go. See?
your part to it. I
Right.
believe the sky is green because I am partially colorblind, so I
Thank
see it
you.
as green. Like, other people would just go, the sky's green, you're crazy. No, bring it back.
Right.
Why? Your
Thank you.
personal
You saved me
experience.
there. Yeah, exactly. Like you brought it, you have to bring it back to like, why do I feel it this way? And it's truly amazing when you try out that exercise. You could make the most ridiculous statement like we just made. But if you bring it back to you, like it is true, you can make it true. And it's so amazing because everyone on this planet, and this is what people don't understand, is we all have a unique, different perspective. Like, I see you right now, right? And you see me, but like I'm seeing so many other factors, and like you're not seeing the room that I'm in, you're not seeing the office that I'm in, you don't know what's going on up here or in here, but like so when you just like share something, guys, you're only sharing like a little window into the way that you're seeing the world. And so sharing these things, sharing what you're thinking is a way to open up that conversation and give people a peek into your world, but it's also an invitation to jump into a conversation with them. So,
Yeah, when you bring it back to your own personal experiences, people can't criticize it then. It's
right.
like, if when I talk about I don't trust the pharmaceutical system and the medical system, and then I share why, and I list all these personal stories from my own experience, what I've witnessed, like literally been in the room for multiple people in my life, people then can see why and understand why I don't trust right away,
Right.
why I have questions. So then, you know, it humanizes it, and they can't just automatically be like, you're anti whatever.
Right. Your grandma
And
killer, like it's
yeah, like
that's
you can't just immediately be censored and criticized because you've shared your own personal experience, and that humanizes and connects to
mhm.
that person reading it or whatever, on a human level that they then can't say no to.
Right.
um, and whatever triggers come up for them, they then have to look at themselves,
Right.
which again creates that amazing dialogue opportunity of curiosity of like, oh, you're criticizing this or whatever, what is that bringing up for you? Why are you feeling that way? And because you're standing in your own truth, where it's like, well, like, this did happen to me. So, like, I
Right.
can't deny that it happened to me. So, what is it? This is my truth. This
Right.
is absolutely my truth. I can't apologize for that because that's literally what
Right.
happened. When you bring it back to your own experience, it gets easier to speak from the place of values for
Right.
yourself. And that's what everybody should be doing,
Right.
instead of this fear that people are going to be critical or cancel you or unfollow you or hate you. I mean, in the last 3 years, how many people have we lost in our lives?
Right.
like now's the time to call towards you everybody that wants to resonate with you. And you will call those people in the more you are firm in yourself.
Absolutely. I could not have said it better myself. Like, it's so funny because I talk to a lot of people who are constantly like, I have this opinion, I have this idea, I have this thought, but if I say this, like, you know, the whole world, my whole world is just gonna blow up. Like, but is it really though? It's like, is
And
it
would it be a
really?
bad thing if it did?
Right,
From my own experience.
right. So, like, my question to them is always, you know, like, this message is coming through for you. If you look back at your life in 10 years, is this still gonna be on your mind? Like, probably.
Yeah,
If you've been feeling
you've been
called to
eaten.
say it, yeah, if you've been feeling called to say it for a while, like, it's not gonna go away. That voice inside of you that wants to say that thing is probably only gonna get louder.
Yeah.
It's probably only going to continue to nag and eat at you until you say it.
Yeah.
So, maybe you don't want to blast it on social media, and that's okay. Everyone has their own way of sharing their ideas and their thoughts. So, something you can do something as simple as saying it to yourself in the mirror, or um, driving through the drive-through and yelling it at the person in the drive-through. Like, do what you need to do, but get it off your chest.
Yeah. I love writing like journals to myself. I just
Yeah,
like type it up and get it out. Or when I'm in the car, I'll just
right.
start talking. And when I first started sharing more, like years ago, about
Right.
how I'm like, what's in our food and what's in our products is so toxic. Like, you need to take control of your health. You need to start looking at things and making shifts. It was hard to be that weirdo. It was hard to go against that, especially because I'm such a shy person.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
I know, right? And actually, Sarah Swain just posted something so incredible about that, where it's not that you're necessarily introverted or extroverted, it's the people you're with.
Right,
Because in certain situations or with certain people, their energy, you light up. And
right,
then with other people, you sort of close down.
right,
And so that was so true to me,
right.
absolutely true to
Yeah,
me.
I gotta check
Um,
it out.
yeah, it's just amazing, that relation to it. But I found it easier when I shared that little bit about, like, why. Here's
Right.
my story. Here's a little bit of this. And then people, I felt better about it. I
Mhm.
got it out. And then the amount of people that would reach out and go like, oh, I had no idea, or, oh, that happened to me with this situation, or, whatever, um,
Right.
has literally changed my life.
Oh,
Like, literally.
I bet, yeah. Well, I mean, you're opening up the door for conversation, whereas if it, like, just imagine for a second if you had never found the courage to say any of what you're saying. What if you never made that first post? Like, where would you be in your life right now?
Miserable.
It's, yeah, right?
Miserable.
And so, like you are an amazing example of what we're talking about. Like, could you imagine how much this would have festered and eaten away at you?
It
And like,
did.
and when you first put that first message out, you were probably scared out of your freaking mind. But thank God you put it out there anyway, right? Like, and so that's kind of what I mean when I say, like, you know, think about the worst case scenario. What is the worst case scenario? And then ask yourself, like, well, is that honestly worse than, like, you just saying it,
Mhm.
or is the worst case scenario honestly worse than not saying it? And you're a perfect example of the fact that yeah, shit hit the fan when you said things, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
if you hadn't said it, you would just still be living in this place of being shy and feeling like this message was eating away at you. So,
Yeah. I can actually think back to one specific time that probably had the biggest growth and confidence burst for me
hmm.
because of how I handled the criticism. Um, it was spring of 2020 when
Okay.
I shared something on Facebook
Oh,
that I know, right?
the hornet's nest.
It, yeah, it triggered a number of people,
Oh,
and one of those people was a fairly close friend in the relationship or like in my circle,
hmm.
and it triggered them. And I basically said, like, thank you, this is my opinion, blah, blah, blah. And their comment was, I'm really disappointed in you. And I said, like, that's fine. That's your opinion. It doesn't impact me at all. Like, that's totally fine. Thanks. Have a great day. I was terrified. Let me tell you, like,
I
I,
bet, yeah.
I was getting these comments and just going like, wow, how much hate is in this? Why? Why is there hate? And I was terrified and I was in this state and I just kind of said to myself like, okay, I'm being triggered. How is the best way that I can handle this? Not taking on that negativity because it's not mine to take on.
Right,
They're the ones being triggered and then I'm being triggered by their triggering as a
right.
people pleaser. So just thanking them for their opinion and going like, that's fine, but that's
Oh,
your
I love
opinion
that.
and, okay kind of thing. And that then triggered them. Like they were so
Oh,
upset that
yeah.
I wasn't upset that they were disappointed in me and I wasn't going to take it back because, they said they were disappointed in me. And it's like, no, I don't care. Like I literally
Oh
said,
my
like, I don't
God.
care if you're disappointed in me. This is the way I feel.
Right,
This is what, this is what I have concerns with.
right.
And that was a huge point for me because I stayed rooted in me and I was unapologetic about how I felt. I
Hmm.
took ownership, but I did not take ownership of their reaction, which is what I used to do as a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Instead, I stayed with myself and it like was the most freeing
Oh
situation.
my God.
I mean, I got off Facebook shortly after that because like,
Right.
holy crap. But that moment, basically from that moment on, I did not take what anybody else wanted to put on me because I understood that it was not mine to take.
I I love that story so much. That is a beautiful example of just what it means to put yourself out there, say the thing, and like I'm sure more people than or well I don't know, but I'm sure lots of people reach out to you and actually agreed with your opinion, probably not publicly because God forbid. But even if all you did in that situation, even if not one single person reached out and said, "Thank you, Steph, for your opinion. Thanks for sharing this," you freed yourself.
Yes.
And to me, that is priceless. That is so
Yeah.
priceless. You finally gave yourself permission to say the thing and not take on anyone else's opinion, not take on people pleasing, not take on their narrative. You literally just said the thing and you showed yourself that it is safe to do it because you
And I
got a
lived.
path. Yeah, you
I
freaking
survived.
lived.
I
Exactly.
survived.
You
It was so
survived an
uncomfortable.
apocalypse.
Totally. It was so uncomfortable. But afterwards, oh man, did I ever feel good.
Right.
And it set the stage for so much more growth. I mean, like smaller. That was a
Right.
pretty intense moment,
Right.
but smaller growth.
Mhm.
Um, we have to end this shortly. So
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to give everybody the opportunity who's listening and like wants to go deeper into actually learning how to get over that uncomfortableness and like really figure out who they are and how to speak it, how to go into situations where they do feel uncomfortable and find the comfort in it. And you've helped me so much in doing that. And you've helped so many other people find their own voices in a really amazing, nurturing way and fun way, because you're a
Yeah.
obviously. So
Obviously.
can you quickly share what it is you do, how people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so you guys can definitely follow me at Coach for Introverts on Instagram and YouTube. I currently can't get on TikTok, so I don't know what my TikTok handle is. Uh, so we'll figure that out eventually. Um, but essentially, I am working on an incredible offer that I'm going to be announcing probably in the next week or so to help you guys with overthinking, because overthinking is kind of the crux of all of these things that we're talking about. If you are trying to tackle things like people pleasing and you're trying to get more comfortable with speaking, the first thing that you got to tackle is overthinking. So we're going to work on that. We're going to get you, you know what? I don't even want to say more. You guys will have to come follow to find out. But in the meantime, come join the community for introverts on Facebook. It is my awesome, growing Facebook community. I've got a really cool competition going on in there right now where it's tons of polls and uh, challenge questions and free trainings that you can catch. And just for participating, you can win loungewear that talks about being an introvert. So super fun. Come join. It's on the link in my bio. And yeah, it's just a community of fellow introverts who are sharing resources and ideas and connecting and sharing perspectives. So the community gets to be what you guys want to be.
I love it. I love it. Okay, thank you so much, Steph. We're obviously going to do more of these because we
Of
love them.
course.
Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your take, your viewpoints, and how we can really move from being uncomfortable and then leaning into speaking our truth, figuring out what that means, and feeling so much more confident in doing it. So, thank you so
Of
much.
course. Mwah. See you later.